Welcome to She Built That podcast with Julie Nichols, where I interview female entrepreneurs about their journeys to business success. Today, my guest is Mary Nisi, founder of Toast Jam DJs, a mobile disc jockey company based in Chicago that is about to celebrate its 20th anniversary. Mary is also a founder of Chirp Radio and host of the podcast All Up in My Lady Business. Mary, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
Mary, oh my God. Mary was my DJ for my wedding 17 years ago. And she is still married. I am soon to be no longer. But that is how long I have known Mary, and she was there for me on my big day. So just want to preface that with Mary and I, we have some history together.
Did you have like magnifying glasses?
Yes, that was
at your
my
wedding.
picture.
Yeah,
yes. That was because Jeremy Lawson was my photographer. And did you meet him at my wedding?
Oh no, he was one of my first like loves that I met like when I first started doing weddings, like in 2004 or something. So yeah, I mean
You had known him for a couple of years.
I think he started after I did, I think maybe, but not by much. But he and I were like two peas in a pod and tried to like get everybody to hire each other because we loved each other so much.
Oh, I love that. I can so relate to that now with having my own business and the amazing people that I work with. And we all just kind of like try to get each other hired in any which way we can. So awesome. Mary, thank you for coming on the show. I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself and your business.
Oh God. My name is Mary Nisi. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I moved here to go to DePaul and never left. I started DJing on a community radio station here. It was Loyola University's radio station. Used to be a community station where they let randoms come in. And so I was a random that came in. I had friends that had done radio in college and they're like, you can do this. I'm like, I can do this. I've never DJ'd anything before. And so I did the morning drive. And I thought that would be, I'd work my way up to a better time shift, but there actually wasn't one, like 9 a.m. or I did from 6 to 9 a.m. on Mondays. And it was awesome because it was the beginning of the week. I had a rabid following. Like people back in the day, radio was very much a part of people's real lives. Like you'd wake up in the morning and turn on the radio. There was no MP3s or whatever. And there were MP3s, but it wasn't, you didn't have a Spotify to turn on or whatever. Yeah. And so one day a listener called the request line and asked me to DJ their wedding. And I was like, sure. How hard can that be? And I did their wedding and I got into my car after it was over and I was like, I called my mom on my like Nokia candy bar telephone because it was 2003 or something. And I was like, I don't know what I just did, but it was the best thing I've ever done. Like I've never felt like that in my life. And I take off from there. Like I was very singular in my focus, but I was doing improv at the time. Like I was an improviser. I
didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was a professional. Like I was professionally doing improv for a while. There was a year where the only money I made was DJing and improv. I did corporate comedy.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't getting paid to do shows at IO. Like I was, no, but I did Comedy Sports and then through Comedy Sports they had a whole corporate wing. So I would like perform at like Abbott Labs third quarter sales meeting or the printing company in Barrington. I performed in their holiday party or whatever, and then we also did things that required people that had no shame. So I would like stand outside of like at the time Marshall Fields, hand out Frango mints. I would hang out Frango mints on the corner and like all kinds of weird shit I did for money when I was trying to not have a real job. And then I continued to never have a real job ever again.
I love it. I love it so much. And you founded Toast Jam DJs, which just when I heard the name of your company, when I was first looking for DJs, I just knew. I was like, yep, this is going to be good. I just knew.
Yeah, I knew you would too. And that's why I named it that. I got made fun of mercilessly when I started the company. Like it was mostly by men who couldn't handle that some woman was getting in on their action. But yeah.
More on that later. But oh God, dudes. Okay. So started your DJ company and then tell us, I would love to hear more about starting it and how you got it on its feet and what did that look like?
Well, I worked for another DJ company for a couple of years when I first started doing them. And I got to the point where I was like turning 30 and all my friends were getting married and I was single and I was like, I want my wedding. I'll start a company. And so well, it's just, they were all doing these big adult, once I kind of analyzed it, I'm like, I think that's part of the reason why I did this is because like all my friends were getting married and I was nowhere near getting married. And I'm like, I want to have a big adult thing too. But I think also I realized that like, I had a lot of ways I wanted to change the company I was working for and they were very resistant to it, which is, their prerogative. And I was like, if you're not going to do what I want to do, where I know I could make this better, then I'm just going to leave and start my own. And that is what I did. And that company doesn't exist anymore. And that's not less about them. I mean, he really didn't want to be doing this anymore. And I think I was like the extinction burst that needed to happen to like, get him away from the industry and doing what he really loved. But yeah, so I came up with the name. I was actually going to a corn maze with a bunch of improvisers from Comedy Sports. It was like one of our like a social outing with improvisers. And like I'm like, I think I want to start a DJ company and I need a name. We were all like brainstorming names. And then somebody said toasting. And then I said, and jamming. And then I was like, Toast and Jam. Her name was Steph De Wagner. I'll never forget. To me, like Steph De Wagner was an improviser. She and I together in the car, like with other people in the car too. But Steph De Wagner helped me name the company.
I love that so much. I mean, what better than a group of improvisers to help you to come up with a business name?
Yeah, I've never told this story publicly. I don't know. It's like weird how I'm like kind of talking about this right now.
And exclusive, everybody.
I know. I'm getting more nitty gritty than people normally get. So I incorporated the next day after like we went to the corn maze and I filed the articles of incorporation like October 20th or something. And then they got approved on November 8th, 2005. So it was like literally weeks later I got my articles of incorporation and then I had a business that was my job that I had to figure out how to do. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but I was an improviser. And when you're an improviser, you wait tables. So like and my degree's in art history. So it's not like I had anything other than my wits that was going to take me on this journey.
And degree in theater directing. So
yeah. So I mean, it's but I think we all focus too much on what the degree says at the end, and not about all of the pieces, like not all the things that you learn along the way, that all go towards being skills that you don't even realize you're developing while you're going down that road. And so I had a friend who was a graphic designer and I was like, would you make my website for me? And he did it for, I don't think he charged me. He maybe charged me like $500, maybe even $200. He charged me nothing. And my roommate was an amazing, and he still is an amazing artist. And I was like, can you draw me a jamming jar and a piece of toast that's toasting? And I got him real stoned and he drew that in like 45 minutes. And that is my logo. It has not changed.
I was going to say, I know that logo. Yeah. It's a really memorable logo.
Yeah. Like he drew that literally in 45 minutes. And that's I haven't changed anything about it. Like it's at least the toast and the jam, like those guys. I mean, the logo has changed, but my little guys haven't. But it was great because I had artistic friends and who had skills and they were able to help me figure out how to and I had good instincts. Like my gut is kind of like perfect, like insofar that it's right. Like I'm able to, like when I made the realization that I could start this company and that I had the skills, it was like I could see it all. And when I talk to other entrepreneurs, they also have that same I can see it all moment. And I truly believe that entrepreneurs are born, they are not made. Like you have to be a fearless person who's not afraid to make themselves look like an ass. And that if I learned nothing from improv, it was that. Like I failed hard on stages all over this town, and I think when you know that you can fail and survive, that really kind of hardens yourself and makes it easier for you to take this kind of risk because you know that if you fail, you're not going to die. You might lose money, you might lose I don't know. I don't really count losses. I don't really count. It's all goes towards better understanding. But yeah, when I took what my friends around me, we are all kind of trying to cobble shit together ourselves. And I got the design from Eric, my friend Greg made the website. And then I used all the money that I had to buy an ad in a magazine, and like it was like Chicago Brides or something, like some bridal magazine, because there was no internet back then. I mean, there was internet, but it wasn't like there was no Wedding Wire, there was no Zola, so like I had to buy.
I don't even know what those are, so sure.
They're wedding websites. There's no reason why you would know them, but I had $4,000. I had $5,000 in my bank account. No, I had $6,000. I had $6,000 total in my bank account. Like that's all the money I had in the world. And I took $4,000 of it and bought this quarter-page ad in Modern Bride, Chicago, and hoped that it worked because it was everything I had, and it worked. I got more business than I could handle, and I had to start recruiting DJs from the radio station to work for me. And two of those DJs, they're just now retiring because they actually used, the skills that they learned over DJing weddings for me for 20 years, and they just bought a pool hall, and they are making it's so incredible. It's called Chicago Billiard Cafe. It's like it's so good. But
ooh, nice plug there. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, I know it's amazing. It truly is I think it's gonna be like the cornerstone of that neighborhood, like very soon if it's not already. What was I saying?
Yeah. So you took out your ad in the bridal magazine, and you actually got a ton of leads from that, which is like very surprising.
Well, it's not. But that's
not
how
at the
you.
time.
That's how you found your wedding vendors.
Right,
Everybody bought these magazines. There was no other way unless you hired a planner, and the planners were gatekeeping all their vendors because you used to have to pay commissions to your planners. Like, wow. Yeah, that used to be a very dirty secret of the wedding industry, is that you'd hire a planner for like $1,000, and then they would charge every vendor that they put on their wedding 10%. So then they're getting whatever the amount of money that they got paid to do the job plus 10% of each of their vendors, which comes out to probably, when you factor in, if they're spending $20,000 on food, that's $2,000 the planner's getting. Like it's, they were making thousands of dollars off of one, but whatever, that was the ecosystem of the world. When I came on, that stopped happening. Like that, I've only had 2 planners that have ever tried to do that to me, because the industry was really changing. But so I brought in DJs, and I kind of figured out my whole way of doing it. Like I had some input from the company that I was working for, but like I have years of customer service. I'm an improviser. I can say I'm really good on the microphone. So I was able to bring and kind of systemize my way of doing things. And so then I had this way I did it, and it was, my way. And so when I brought in new DJs, I would train them like, it's a very customer, like I say that being a good DJ is like 15th on the list of things you have to be good at to do this job. I hire people that have never done, I don't like hiring people who've done weddings before. Because they come with bad habits. We don't do line dances and things like that. And so it's like, and it's not a switch we can flip. It's not like, oh, I guess they want the cha-cha slide. I guess I'm going to get out there and show them how to, no, I don't. I can hit play on the cha-cha slide, and I can hit play on the chicken dance, but I'm going to stand back there with my arms crossed waiting for it to end. It's not what we do. And so, so I brought on and at the beginning it was all women. I didn't hire any men. And that, I'm not going to say that was by design because that's illegal, but I did wind up bringing on one guy. I used to make a joke. It was to keep the EEOC off my back. He was a really, I mean, he blended, he was friends with all of us. So it was, he was my diversity hire. And so, it was like that for the first 10 or so years. He was the only man. And then they've been infiltrating a little bit more since then, but I do mostly have women that work for me. Did that answer the question, or do you need more information?
Well, and then I want to, like, this is kind of more of a technical question, but like you started out with such a small budget and you put so much of it towards your ad, but then once the phone calls started coming in, like, how did you afford buying equipment? Like, I know that there's like startup costs with what, I mean, like for me, I work for professional services companies. So like everything is very low overhead for me, but like, what was the overhead like for you and how did you manage that?
So when I started, everybody were like in the industry wide, like if you owned a company and you hired anybody outside of yourself, they were all coming on as independent contractors, and that was how it all worked. So when I would bring on new DJs, I would it's just like I think about how wonderful that time of my life was. When I would bring on a new DJ, I would train them like crazy. They would come out and shadow me, and then once they got to the point, and our whole thing was that the DJs worked with the clients. They weren't hiring the company. They were hiring, like, if you had contacted me and you weren't going to get me, I would have introduced you to your DJ. They would have done the sale and they would have been your DJ. And they are the ones who then walk you through the timeline. We go through how you're using the space, like, what is your vibe? Do you have any like secrets you really want to make happen? Like we are your whatever it takes to make your day go great. And so when the DJs would come on, I would buy them a rig, and then they just wouldn't take money from me until it was paid off. And so then that way they would all have their own gear. And so basically it was like, and I was splitting whatever I charged the client, I paid out 50-50 for the first couple of years until I realized that was unfucking sustainable. That way, I mean, it was illegal what I was doing, because when they're independent contractors, you're not supposed to be doing things like that for them. But I didn't know that because I didn't know. And so we had to, but basically we've always engineered it so that the DJs are making enough money. Like, they wouldn't buy gear until they knew they had 2 months of weddings booked. So they knew that they could at least in my mind, it was paid off. However they did their money is their own thing. But it costs $3,000 to buy a DJ rig. If I was paying you $500, then it would take 6 events for you to pay that off. It was very, and I also paid the DJs, and I still do pay the DJs really well. Like, that's something that I got good work out of people because I paid them well. I supported them. And, I really believe in what we're doing. It's not something I'm deigning to do. Like, I genuinely love DJing weddings. Like, it's, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that will do weddings if they have to. And that's just, okay, you're cool. You go to your club gig where you make $300 in drinks and, be a cool guy at the club playing dumb remixes. Whereas I'll go to my wedding, charge $2,000 and, pay a DJ $1,000 or whatever. And they make $1,000 DJing. It's not bad money.
No. I mean, especially when you consider, how many hours would that be? That's what, like a 4 to 5 hours thing?
No, so most of our weddings are 6 hours. And so then so with all of the meetings and the planning, we estimate it's between 10 and 12 hours per event is what you're working.
Oh, okay.
So it winds up being each DJ is putting in roughly 10 to 12 hours on a wedding.
Okay, cool. So I would like to know more about the evolution of your business. Clearly you're upon your 20th anniversary, which congratulations, because 20 years in business, who does that?
No.
And so where you are now, can you give us a little insight on how your business evolved and how you got to where you are?
Well, so, it's like I said, and it's kind of a weird thing to say and have happen, but I was kind of successful right away. People were hungry for what I was doing. I wasn't, most DJ companies, you look at their ad, it was a red rose on a piano, and it's an elegant evening, and we're going to elegantly DJ your wedding, and it's and mine was pink and green and had a toaster with some records popping out of it. And my logo is a jar of jam that's dancing and a piece of toast. So, everything about me was completely different from everything else in the magazine, regardless of vendor. There was no vendor that was being as like authentically themselves. And honestly, I didn't know any other better way. Like I wasn't like, it's not like I talked to a marketing company, like you really need to put these key SEO words into your thing in order for people to like, and I just did everything by feel. And like, I have really apparently good instincts and my gut is pretty good. And so I always led from, I can't look myself in the eye and learn how to teach people how to do the cha-cha slide. Like that's just never going to be who I am. And by me making being that out there, like I am at no lack for business. Like I've always and I'm saying that and I feel like I've gotten that way because I've done a good job and I'm like authenticity sells. Like this is who I actually am. And so and I've always been this way. And I also I can't do stuff that I can't ethically, if I don't feel like it's myself, I can't phone it in. I have no poker face. I'm a horrible liar. And
same way.
Yeah. I can't fake it. Like it makes it so that from a management perspective, I can be harsh and I don't know how to filter my disappointment in a way that comes out better. I also feel like you're an adult. Like I told you something once, I shouldn't have to tell you things 7 times, 7 different ways in order to hear my feedback. This is where my raised by boomers, Gen X, I had to suffer, so should you, but I actually don't believe anybody should have to suffer. I feel like that's actually one of the things I've done with my business is really figuring out how to make everything better so that there's less friction. That's one of my skills is kind of eliminating friction and trying to figure out the best way and ego aside, what's going to make things work. So anyway, all that to say is that when I started the company, wait, what was the question again?
So how has your company evolved?
Yes. Okay. So they were all independent contractors and that was the name of the game. And I would assign them a lead. They would, do the client meetings, do the weddings. Everything was great. And then in 2013, so I got married myself in 2011. And when I got married, I wanted to take a proper honeymoon. I wanted to have 2 weeks where I didn't have to think about work. And, which is really hard when you're an entrepreneur. You don't get to take time off. And I was like, I didn't spend at that point, 7 years building a business so that I couldn't even just go on a 1-week vacation with my husband. And so I hired, one of my DJs was like, she wanted out. She was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too stressful. I get too freaked out. And I'm like, well, you have all these skills and you know how my company operates. Would you want to work in the office? Because I could use some help. And I also want to take a honeymoon and I want to be able to have 2 weeks off. And so, so she came in and learned enough and I went on my honeymoon and she never called me once. And I came back and everything was great. And I'm like, and she fixed a bunch of stuff. She's like, why do we do the calendars like this? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. That's just the way I did the calendars was that I used a iCal and every DJ. And at the time I probably had 17, 18 DJs. Every DJ had their own calendar. And then there was on hold, there was a structure for on hold, a structure for on, it was they would always crash all the time because there were too many calendars that iCal was trying to process. And she what if we just change the calendar to having one calendar and then each event just has a different thing indicating where it's at in the process. And I'm like, all right, genius, you fixed that one. Let's see what else you got in your brain. So she just came in and she just slowly and methodically and I was like, oh, so not all my ideas are perfect. Someone else can have good ideas that I can also live with. And so Dina comes in and she just Dina-fies the whole thing. And then 2 years later, I had my son and I wanted to have a proper maternity leave. And once again, and I was still doing stuff. I still had things that was my responsibility within the company. That I left for 3 months. I actually took 4 months for my maternity leave because I could. That was Dina was doing such a great job of running everything. I took an extra extra month of maternity. And when I came back, I didn't have a job. I was Dina had taken over everything. All I did was sign checks and also do really annoying contract negotiations. That was the stuff that Dina didn't want to do. And it's they're not bad clients, but when you have a client that's in law school or is a lawyer, they just cannot resist trying to
love that contract.
They see the contract as something to slay. And it's like, I don't have a legal team to run all your weird changes after. All I know is that this is a contract that literally thousands of people sign all the time without incident. So like, no, I'm not going to strike my indemnification clause. No, I'm not going to change how many breaks the DJ is going to take. No, I'm not. It's like this, like all of this is written because this is, if you follow this and we do it this way, it always works. And whenever you start messing with it, that's when something's going to fall apart. And I can't have that. So I then have to tell them like, thanks for taking all this time, but I'm not agreeing to any of this. And I've literally never, I mean, I've changed my contract like a handful of times and every single time I regretted it. So like, I just don't do it now at all.
I would love to hear more about your son and that experience with running your business. Because I know you said that basically like you came back and you had kind of worked, you know, you had set yourself up so well for your maternity leave that then you came back and then you're like, so then what did it look like? Once you kind of made that transition, like, did you like, just tell me about that.
Well, it's so weird because I feel like so much of my identity was wrapped up in, you know, initially it was DJ Mary Nisi, owner of Toast Jam. And then I get married and then I stop DJing as much. And then I have my kid and then I'm not even working anymore. And I'm like, so I'm not even Mary of Toast Jam anymore. I don't really know what my job is. It was really disorienting, but also like, I'm not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. So I mean, he was in daycare. He went to daycare and I would go to the Toast Jam offices and, you know, I would pump and like, you know, like fake like I was working. Like I mean, not really, I thought I was working, you know, I wouldn't say I wasn't doing anything, but like, I wasn't managing my time well. It was like, I was just like, I was like basically going to work to prove that I wasn't a stay-at-home mom or something. Like there was some kind of like, and I don't like, I'm not meant to be alone with a child all day. I love my kid, but like, and it wasn't, I can't believe I'm admitting this on a microphone that my son might hear someday, but it's true.
No, I think they need to hear that. My children definitely know that I was not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. I am totally transparent about that. I'm way better as a mom having my own business and doing my own things. And I hope that that is something that they look back on when they're older and they're like, wow, my mom like kicked ass and did all these different things and raised us to be good humans.
And that's not to say that people who are stay-at-home moms can't do that. Like,
of course not.
It's their own way of flying, you know, and doing their thing. And I also, I think I might have had some postpartum depression that I wasn't being honest with myself about. And the real issue that kind of took over was that I developed a chronic pain problem. And I don't know if we necessarily want to go into all of this, but right after I gave birth to him, I was crooked. Like my body wouldn't straighten out. And like I was like this, like. And
Mary is leaning to the side, everyone who's listening and not watching.
My body was on like 170-degree angle. Like it was, and it hurt. And, but I had kind of he flipped breech and I couldn't have a vaginal birth, which was really a big fucking bummer. I wanted to have a vaginal birth so badly and I didn't get to have it. And so then breastfeeding became this like mission that I was, you know, I had to make work. And so I was in all this pain. I got an ear infection from I was like swimming a lot when he flipped breech because I was trying to get his body to flip over and I got an ear infection and I was like, it was untreated. I actually now have some I have to get tubes put in my ears every like 3 years because of that infection because I wouldn't treat it because I didn't want to take antibiotics because I want to fuck up my breast milk. It's amazing. Like the girl math that we will do to like make certain things work. But I developed this really bad chronic pain and that became basically my full-time job was managing my chronic pain and my child. So I would like drop my kid off at daycare and then I would go to work and just researching why my back hurt so badly. And I would go get this MRI or go get that thing. And I was always going to various treatments, try to deal with my pain when really the pain was probably because I should have been with my son and not trying to pretend to work. I'm just really not, that might be part of it. But anyway, I spent basically from 2014 until Trump was elected, dealing with my chronic pain. And then that was such a horrible fucking time in my life. And then Trump was elected, and then that was another fucking horrible time in my life. All of our lives, really. But
Here we go again.
Yeah, and here we go again. But I basically, how do I get out of this part of the conversation? So I feel like I'm just making it all about me in this weird way. But
well, I mean, that's kind of the point of the show, is to learn about you.
Yeah. So the chronic pain journey was really important. Like it was, as it turns out, it was mind body syndrome, which is have you heard about the body keeps the score? Have you ever heard read the book The Body Keeps the Score, or heard about it? Basically, it's this concept that there's a connection between the mind and the body, right? And it's like if you have something that is bad, that's wrong, that you aren't dealing with, childhood trauma, or generally trauma. If trauma at a young age settles somewhere in your body. And or if you have let's say you get like an accident, like let's say you had you broke your arm when you were 6 years old skiing, and then there's always an injury that's still there or whatever. Like there's a neural path that is created between the accident and your brain. And maybe when you got into that ski accident, it took you out of the season for soccer or whatever. And so now whenever you think about soccer, your arm hurts and you don't realize why, and or with generalized trauma, as you get older and you're not really dealing with it, you're not really uncovering those scars, your body, it'll manifest as pain in your body. And there's certain things that, like, whenever anybody tells me they have these certain problems, I'm like, that's TMS. That's TMS, which is tension myositis syndrome, which is like the technical way of saying mind body syndrome. Is this too much? Are we going into something weird?
No, I mean, this is so interesting. We're definitely going to have a second episode on all of this, because we have so much to talk about. But
do you want to get off of this? We can move to something different.
Well, I feel like, we're gonna have to wrap it up now. But that is oh my God, I feel like I need this book now, because I have had chronic pain on and off throughout my life around my neck and my upper body.
Oh yeah. Cervical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And then starting back in my 20s, where I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my head from side to side. And that went on for months and months and months and months. And then throughout my entire life, I've had just sore spots all over my body, where if I get touched in a certain place, it's ow.
Yeah. I bet if you went back to the day when your neck stopped working, and you looked at what was actually happening around that time, I bet you that something happened around that time. I was just talking to someone who's like, yeah, I've got really bad sciatica. Kind of came up, he's like, yeah, I made this huge business decision that I had to go out of town the next day. And then I had this awful sciatica that ruined my trip. And I'm like, that's because you didn't want to leave. You wanted to stay and work on your thing. And you had to go do this other thing that you knew your heart wasn't in. But I couldn't say that to him, because he didn't he couldn't
be receptive to that.
Yeah. And but it's true though. I mean, the body does keep the score. Anyway, once I got out of the chronic pain cycle, I bought a building. I bought a commercial building in Logan Square, and put Toast and Jam in it, and moved our offices from Wicker Park to Logan Square. And then I started a co-working space on the first floor.
Okay. Yes. Okay. This is coming back to me now.
Yeah. And so I basically bought this building, and my plan was to be a landlord. And then the idea of being a landlord seemed nightmarish. And because all I saw in the neighborhood were open, storefronts were that weren't populated. And I'm like, who's going to move in here? And so I'm like, I'll just start another business. I've done it before. I'll do it again. And the listing agent was like, you should put a co-working space in here. And I was like, what's a co-working space? So I Googled co-working spaces, and I was like, oh, I can do that. And so I spent $30,000, I got a business loan, and I bought desks and baffling and made a co-working space. And that was from 2017 until, when the pandemic hit, it was actually great, because people were not able to go to work and they needed places to work. So Toast and Jam just cratered during that time, because of, we had 564 weddings on the books for 2020 alone on the day of lockdown, which was bananas. And but luckily the co-working space, people wanted places to come work because they couldn't work at home, and also we had 2,000 square foot rooftop deck so people could work outside, and we wound up having weddings and engagement parties and all kinds of things up there to kind of supplement that side of my businesses. And so there's a huge other part in here in terms of the scaling of Toast and Jam before we get into the co-working space of it all. And that is that the DJs were independent contractors. And then I got audited in 2013 when I was 8 months pregnant. And they basically determined that my DJs shouldn't be independent contractors. They should be W-2. And I'm like, but no one does it that way. And they're like, yeah, we don't care. And I was like, I'm like, I don't know what you mean. So then I basically rewrote my contracts and did everything to keep them as independent contractors and tried to play the shell game to try to keep them off my back. And then I got audited 2 years later, and they were like, we're going to just keep doing this to you. And I was like, then I'm making everybody W-2. And so I made everybody W-2 in 2017 to great expense. It is so expensive to have employees. Yeah. And, when politicians are like, small business owners are the heartbeat of this country, it's like, then fucking act like it. It's like you they are not
making it so hard for us.
But here's the thing. It's that the reason why I made this, I kind of had a stony thought the other day where I'm like, the reason why it is so hard to be a small business, like a truly small business, like under 50 employees, small business, is because all of the rules and regulations that are made in this country that businesses have to comply by are all shit that they had to create because of bad actors, because employers were abusing their employees. And so they had to make all of these labor laws because when given an inch, a lot of employers will take a mile, and they will try to find ways to not support their employees. And so they have to make all these rules around it. And then they make the rules, and in order to enforce the rules, you have to hire people to enforce these rules, or you have to pay a tax to go towards these systems that are there to protect employees from bad employers. And so the good employers, the people that would never do these things, I'll pay my taxes. I'm a Democrat. I understand that it costs money to run things. And I'm happy to be a part of the tax system. I just wish everybody was in the same tax system that I was in, and most of them aren't. And so when when I made the DJs W-2, I had to get workers' comp for them. Well, literally not one workers' comp company that I went to had ever insured a DJ company because they're all 1099. So they didn't know what kind of risk they were opening themselves up to by putting DJs on workers' comp. So when I came in, I had to pay the absolute highest rate because they didn't know what they were exposing themselves to.
Oh my God, Mary, I have to stop this right now because we're out of time, but we need to do a part 2 because I need to hear more about this. And your journey is so fascinating. And I feel like I want everybody to hear more about this transition of being the DJ to then being the owner, and that whole what am I doing with myself now? So there's going to be a part 2. We're going to do this. But before we go, please tell everybody how they can find you if they would like to inquire more about your services.
Well, you can, Toast and Jam DJs is where I'm on the socials. I am at Mary Nisi, MaryNisi, to find me. And then my new most latest passion is I've been doing these things called Hot Flash Dance. And they are all women dance parties that are from 7 p.m. till 10 p.m.
Yes. I love this.
I had my second one last weekend, and it's perfection.
She's doing the most amazing eye roll right now.
It is just
the best kind of eye roll.
Pure joy. Everyone's like, no, what's the best thing about not having men here is I don't have to worry about my drink or people stealing my stuff, and I can put my purse down. People don't even realize how fucked up men make everything.
That's so messed up.
But it's true.
Do you have a website for this?
Well, it's literally I've had 2 of these, and so I got my branding back. So I just got my branding back from my branding company, and then I'm going to figure out how to make a website.
Okay, great. So everybody check the show notes, and I will point you to how you can figure out.
It will be hotflashdanceparty.com. I have the URL. There's just nothing there yet, but
Hot Flash Dance Party, everybody. Oh my God, that's amazing. All the
It's,
perimenopausal and menopausal women will be there.
The taglines, there's 2 taglines. Pop lock, out by 10 o'clock. And then the other one is a punctual party for rowdy women.
I love that. I love punctuality. And I like when things end at a very specific time. Well, Mary, thank you so much for being on the show. We will be hearing more from you very soon because there is so much more to learn from you. And everyone, thank you so much for listening. I'm Julie Nichols, Julie Nichols Marketing. I can help you out with your small business marketing. Just give me a ring. You can find me at julienicholsmarketing.com. That's NICHOLS marketing.com. And thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.